News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, and unfortunately, it's too late for me to say May the 4th be with you.
Okay, well...
It's never too late. We just look at you and smile and say, look, there goes baby Grogu.
I mean, we can milk this for what it's worth, so, yeah. I mean,
well, just remember it's blue milk.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the blue milk's on the top shelf. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989 and let us know how you celebrated May the 4th or something. I don't know. That's too corporate for me, Allan. That's not
Well, here we go. Today is also the birthday of Sigmund Freud.
Okay. All right. Do you like that guy? That seems like more of a guy you'd care about.
I don't know, Maximilian. Do you have problems with your parental units?
Yeah.
Do I need to even answer that?
Okay. Hey, also, I don't know if they're turned on yet, Max, but our the Royal Retreat camera system is well, I guess it's up and running, but or maybe it's not. But once Max,
Stops wrestling
presses the right button, it'll be on. But we also we definitely want to welcome our new sponsor, Royal Retreat, who we'll talk about in a little bit, Allan. So we also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the 3 posts that I've made over there. We naturally posted our must-have item of the week, Allan. We posted our great moments in building history, which today is going to be interesting. We've mentioned it in passing a few times. In fact, I think we mentioned it in our very first great moments in building history, but we've never done a deep dive, and that is the world's first Ferris wheel.
Or the world's biggest FOMO.
Yeah. Yeah, bingo. So, I mean, 1.5 million people rode on this thing when they
lived.
Not bad. Not a bad turnout. So we'll talk about that in our great moments in building history. And I posted a really good video. On YouTube, some videos are better than others, as you know, Allan. This one's really good, very comprehensive, and it covers it well. So it would behoove you to get over there and listen and check it out. So also on our Facebook page, it was more or less I don't know if this is breaking home improvement news, or I think this is more of a soapbox moment for one of our listeners. But one of our loyal listeners, Robbie, who always chimes in. He's the interactive kind of listener we want. Folks, the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and this whole thing is it's a team effort. We want all of you to chime in. So Robbie sent me something that he deals with pretty regularly, and I think we'll dive into that. It's to do with flooring. Let's call this flooring design flaws. And
I can think of a lot of those.
We'll get into that.
All right.
So then, of course, later, our good buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration is supposed to be in the house.
Awesome.
I hope, unless duty calls or unless he's...
he is a busy man right now, I promise you.
You never really know with that. So, Allan, the title of this killed me. Allan's Week in Review, 70 cats and drywall replacement.
Yep.
Sounds like a country music song.
I promise you the dog ran away and the train wrecked.
Yeah.
But...
and I'm also putting this out there. This is going to be sort of this is something we're looking for our listeners to get involved in, and we're going to unpack this later in the show. Hopefully, Larry will join the conversation, and it's going to be, what was the very first home improvement project you ever did as a homeowner? Now, we're not going to count painting or changing the air ducts. We're talking about an improvement, like
what stamped it as yours.
Right. What stamped it as yours. So if you've got something that if you can remember your first home improvement project, I feel like it sets the trajectory in your relationship with your home, you could say. And it says something about you that whatever you prioritize first, I guess.
So other than took the toilets off your roof, I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Or the mannequin heads that were staked to the ground.
Yeah. Well, now, that was my second home, Allan.
That wasn't your first home. That's true.
No, that wasn't my first rodeo. So so it's all coming at you today, on Tool Talk Radio. So, Allan, let's start with this. Well, let me see. No, okay. Well, let's start with this. Let's talk about Robbie. So,
All right, let's talk about Robbie.
all right, Robbie.
Let's talk about floors.
If you're
What
out
did
there
he-
listening,
what
he
do?
might be out there doing his flooring work. But so if you check out the Facebook page, you'll see a picture that kind of illustrates what his beef was. And so we're gonna call this insufficient bullnose trim on stair treads. And now,
Oh,
Does this qualify as historically terrible?
yes. Yes.
I don't know. Is it? I mean, it's still going on today.
It's
Alan.
historically terrible, and it's dangerous.
Just let me.
Oh my.
Okay.
This armor's useless. Why do we even wear it? Oh, you stink!
This is the worst.
Okay, so now, folks, I'm sure that sounds like a mouthful. Let me just unpack what the nature of the problem is. So I'm sure everybody knows what a hardwood floor stair tread looks like. Well, some of those are actually full 3/4 inch pieces of
Yes.
hardwood, right? Some
that have been planed and or routed into a bull nose.
and glued together. And so you have some situations where you might have and Robbie, feel free to chime in if I'm wrong, because I'm not a floor guy, but I do know enough about wood. So, but Alan, I've seen, they glue the stair tread together. It's what, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches deep, probably about 10 or 12 inches, depending on the stair. You attach it, and it is a very firm and solid thing to put your weight on.
Safe for the years.
Safe for you to
Yes.
put, and usually you don't want a huge overhang, because for one thing, you'll trip as you're going up the stairs, but also you're putting a lot of weight on that edge of the stairs, and it could crack. Well, he was sending me some pictures, and we're big fans of the pre-finished hardwood flooring, which we see today and all that. Well, one disadvantage is if you're going to use things like that on your stairs, that stuff's only 1/4 inch or maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, right? And so now you got to figure out what to do with the stair tread and how to make it attach and be, So what he's pointing out, folks, is you've got basically this little edge to work with where people are going to be putting a lot of weight.
Yes.
And Alan, you love this because you're always dealing with safety hazards and things like that. And I have to admit, and plus it comes loose and you get a seam and they come off. And so I think it's worth a little round table here. So,
Well, all right, let's, as I'm famous for saying, let's set the Wayback Machine and go to Art Deco,
yeah.
where everything was foofied up. So we had to
Art
add a little
Deco,
something.
wait a minute. I don't know if that's Art Deco.
Well,
Are you talking about Victorian stuff?
well,
Because Art Deco's kind of cool, but okay.
it is.
Or is he talking about Baroque or Edwardian?
Yeah, how far back are you going, Alan?
Well,
Let's get our terminology right. So, okay.
As Queen Victoria put it, it looked like whipped cream on the walls. But
Okay, that's not Art
yeah,
Deco.
we're going to pick on Art Deco because a lot of it was artistic and it was decoration.
Bingo.
And
the focus was on decoration. Yeah.
And there was a sad attempt to kind of decorate everything without paying a lot of attention to its actual form or function.
Sorry, Alan, but you triggered me. One
we
thing I studied furniture making. I studied classical furniture design, and sometimes you'll encounter these chairs, or especially a table that maybe there's just one, there's some decorative element and it looks really cool. But my first thing that I go to is I'm like, okay, all of the weight on the table is basically compromised right here in this little 1/2-inch section, which somebody's going to lean on and this thing's going to fall over. So,
Yes.
It looks great until you try to use it, basically.
That is the coolest looking coupler I've ever seen.
Right.
Until somebody my size sits on it.
Right.
And then you hear it groan and creak and begin to crack, and next thing you know, I'm on the floor.
Right.
So, there are any number of large comedians that have said, "Yeah, you invite me over to your house, I'm heading straight for the wicker furniture." And there were just a lot of these things, and one of the worst things I ever saw was just basically molding on the edge of the stairs.
Yeah.
Now, I got to admit, it looked phenomenal. When you're standing at the bottom of the stairs and you're looking up the sweeping staircase as it goes all gone with the wind. But the horrible reality is that was whacking the top of your foot every time you went through.
Oh, yeah.
And every time you stepped down, you were putting all the weight on a little tiny edge with a nail in it. And eventually,
I forgot about that part of it. Yeah, there's nails.
Well, it wasn't the nail that was going to get you. The worst part, the thing that got me, was it would begin to separate and have that tiny little seam in it, and that baby would pinch the holy bejesus out of the bottom of your foot.
Right.
And it looked so good, but it just was such not a great idea.
So here's the question. I don't know if he was. I'm sure he has a solution because this is what he does. So, but let's just. Here's my solution. This is just my. This is off the top of my head solution, Allan. Okay, well, stairs. Okay, let's suppose you got some pre-finished hardwood flooring, and then you come up against the stair treads and everything. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, who says that it has to be the exact same wood as what's on your floor in terms of, for example, let's suppose you got some, I don't know, rosewood colored floor. Well, with our painting technology and stuff, you could probably take that to the your local paint store and get a stain matched to that color.
Yes.
And so maybe if you put a nice solid oak stair tread on there and stain it to that color, there's enough similarity to that. Or you just go completely the other direction and you make the stairs sort of an accent piece, and it doesn't have to be the same color. It may even be, you may even have a black stain or some kind of bold color on there, and then it's its own thing. And because how the front door can be whatever color you want, it doesn't have to match the house. It can be,
It's its own feature.
maybe, I don't know. He never really told me what his solution was. I'm assuming
Well, the
it's something
solution
down
is
that
don't
road.
do it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with you've got something that is so mission critical to your home.
That's a good way of putting it. Mission critical.
It is absolutely mission critical. I remember when a friend of mine had a set of stairs carpeted, and it absolutely freaked her out that instead of actually wrapping all the way under and going down the back wall with the carpet, the carpenters went in there and just kind of came off the end of the tread and went to the back of the next tread and kind of made a little diagonal out of the carpet.
Yeah.
And either way is known acceptable practice, but it just wasn't what she had expected because she wanted that carpet wrapped around and under and totally secured.
Yeah.
She didn't want a tent underneath there.
Right.
So just when you I hate to say it, but no matter how much the aesthetic is that you want, you really have got to go with function over form.
I think that's a good lesson anyway, because there's a lot of times we love the look of something, and then maybe you got to go step back, like you said, and consider where how is this going to look in 2 years after you've been using it, or is this a death trap I've created?
Well, how about the fact that we've changed the depth of the tread at this point too?
Right. Oh, good point. Yeah.
Or I was just going to say, how many toes are you going to lose, like with shag carpeting?
Oh my gosh. My poor little toes still haven't recovered from the 70s.
Yeah.
So when you look at this, I mean, and this kind of weird, we're going to decorate the stairs. Magically, I always kind of coalesce that. I usually find it in houses that still have floor registers.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of like, did you hate the people that bought houses then?
Right.
Were you really trying to kill their feet?
Yeah.
I
will say this, Allan, because everybody's got their own situation. I do like the look of having like a runner going up the stairs, because there are times. What if you've got a bunch of kids and you got stairs, and it's easier to slip on a hardwood floor stair than have a little bit of carpet. But I feel like those runners are a good compromise because you can put them down and. You still see the wooden stair tread and everything like that. And one day when they're older, you could remove it, or maybe that's the look. Maybe some of these older homes look kind of cool with a runner. They even get fancy and they put those little like brass bars that go across the top. The one that and the inside and everything. I don't know, but I guess like you said, think about function over.
Be so mindful that anything that's going to grab your foot on stairs is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, Robbie, we appreciate that, and we'll leave that out there. If other listeners have any Stair issues, or if they've
let us know
if they've had good solutions working on that, But like we say, send all of that to the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline 901-683-0989, or you can message us over on our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. But all right, Allan, it's time to change gears here.
Oh, the humanity.
Okay. Well, Allan's Week in Review. This one sounds like it might be kind of more along the lines of a horror film. So what did you do this week? Oh, by the way, if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, Allan's Week in Review more or less covers the fact that Allan works in he works well, I don't know. He works in a lot of varied
Let's just say, to quote you two, he moves in mysterious ways.
Yeah, you never really know what he's going to do from week to week, and it's always unpredictable. So we're like, well, let's not waste good material. Let's find out what you did this week. And so,
well, oddly,
what happened?
This year has taken a strange trend.
Okay.
I had a huge commercial building that, in reminiscence of you, dear Joe, I'm going to wait till you put your coat down before I say anything else.
Yeah.
So
don't worry,
so
I'm
you
not going to
don't
laugh
see
at
it and spray it.
Yeah.
Let's just say Squirrel Nod did not begin to cover.
Squirrel Nod.
Oh my gosh. This poor building, like every corner on 40,000 square feet of building, had a squirrel ejection system.
Wait a minute.
I just picture like a miniature trebuchet just hurling squirrels.
The building looked like it.
An
It was,
SES.
oh my gosh.
A
it was
squirrel
so terrible.
ejection. What do you mean by that?
We had to put ejectors over almost every corner in this building so squirrels could get out but couldn't turn around and get back in.
Oh, you're talking about almost like a one-way door.
Yes, we had to put one-way wire doors on them. And this lasted for months, and we finally got
That sounds like a squirrel eviction system.
It
I
is.
mean, if we're going to get technical, but go ahead.
Because
It's still
me,
SES.
Yeah, it's still the same
if I could have
acronym.
hooked up an air cannon to this thing, I would have. Trust me. So we finally got in there a couple of weeks ago and got all of that chewed up wood cut out and replaced.
Right.
Well, that got followed up immediately by, we'll just call it the raccoon roof. Where through a soffit, raccoons had broken into a home and had been living comfortably above the ceiling.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, it was time to now remove the raccoon accommodations because the house is being remodeled.
Sure.
And the poor homeowner discovered that raccoons make their bedroom over here, and over there in that corner is the latrine.
Oh, God. Yeah, so they don't. Okay.
And when you knock down that 4x8 sheet of sheetrock, it is immediately unpleasant to everybody below you.
Okay, but Allan, you talked about cats.
Oh,
this
we're
time.
getting there.
Okay,
Yeah, we're just building
we
up
got
to it.
5 minutes. So,
I know.
Okay.
Here we
All right.
go.
You going to get to it? Or
And
what?
this
Okay.
week, we were taking care of a house, and this is why a broken window or something is so important, because feral cats had gotten in and been living there, and there was a sizable number that had been in there.
How many do you
Estimates range anywhere from 30 to 70.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And let's just say...
Was this house abandoned? Or just empty?
Empty.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank goodness.
Who wanted... Okay. go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah. But, wow. All I got to say is the raccoons and the squirrels paled. We have seen the penultimate in what we could do to a house. This thing is just shockingly amazing. So we've been
Did
pulling...
they get this house for like $50 or something? You couldn't pay me to live in something like this. All right. Okay.
So, yeah. So a lot of walls have been... the sheetrock literally was so bad we had to pull it all the way around the building. So...
Well, that's a lesson because, sheetrock is like a sponge and everything. So if
It
water or
soaks it up.
anything unpleasant, even just, latent fumes and stuff.
Oh, latent fumes.
You're
There
better
you
to
go.
just rip it out. So
Yeah.
Latent
it's-
Fumes sounds like the name of a band.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
let
is
me
a
tell
good name
you.
for a band. Yeah.
Yeah. Feline latent fumes is a good name for this house.
Okay, so that's what you did. So who did the demo on this? Did you have to do it?
Happily, no, another crew came in and had the pleasure
That's
of
the worst part of
removing-
this job.
It was horrifying.
What did you do about the studs? Because the studs would have still been affected by
Those
this.
been sprayed.
Okay.
So we neutralized those.
Okay.
And now we've started going back in and hung nice, clean, happy sheetrock. And last night we actually finished taping and mudding. So today, this afternoon, begins the sanding. So it's going to be Pillsbury Doughboy time.
Yeah, I hate sheetrock work, but it still sounds better than dealing with all that cat stuff. What about the floors on this place?
They're toast.
What kind of what are they? Hardwood? Are they concrete?
They're now concrete. They were carpet, or we hope it was carpet.
Oh my gosh! So you got to do something to that concrete because that's like a sponge.
Yeah, it's all going to have to be treated and acid washed and all that good stuff.
All right, I know people are eating breakfast, Allan, but I'm kind of curious, what other things happened to a house that's just been sitting there that animals got into? It just sounds like a recipe for.
Well, the number one thing that is going to happen is the acidic level in the air is going to rise and everything in the house is going to rust.
Yeah, I bet.
And I mean, like under the mud on the corner guards is going to rust. Of things that you don't think can rust will rust through. The finishes will come off of everything in the house.
Yep.
Can the rust?
Well, in an odd sort of way, yes, because
I've seen that. Yeah, it just keeps building on itself. Yeah,
it will actually consume itself and become crinkly and fall apart,
like your mother-in-law.
Yeah,
whoa,
Dominic.
But,
okay.
Is he married? I thought he was single.
I don't know. Okay,
but I find it amazing how quickly a property goes downhill the minute the humans are no longer inhabiting it.
Okay.
Now, and if you think this is bad, I've even heard of a case, I haven't seen one yet, of in Texas, if you leave a building abandoned and there's an access point, wild hogs are getting into them. And I thought cats were bad.
These wild hogs are out of control, and they're here, too. So.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like, I haven't seen one of those houses yet, but I'm sure I will.
Okay. All right. Well, we can't promise what you might see on this show today. So, but good news is Larry Brown's coming in later, so that'll be good. We'll keep it civilized. So, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
When my new apprentice arrives, he will take care of you.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
It sounds great. Sounds like he's a go-getter and ready to take care of business. I love it. So, welcome back.
Yeah, unless you're on that work team.
Yeah. Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass.
I will take care of you.
Max is in a mood today. I don't know. What did you give him? He's over-caffeinated. That's a given. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And if Max ever figures out which button to push, you can watch the show today on the Royal Retreat studio cam. That's what we'll call it for now. So we want to welcome our new sponsor, Royal Retreat. You'll discuss them in a minute, Allan.
I sure will.
But we welcome them to the family, and we appreciate them giving us these nifty cameras. And like I said, if Max ever gets them figured out, then you can watch the show. And when you do, then you'll want to go to, after you visit Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page, you're going to want to go visit the News Talk 98.9, the Roar Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it, But we promise nothing at the moment, because right now, Allan, the light is still not red, and it's
blinking.
Okay, well, we'll see. Hey, Allan, why don't we in a minute we are going to get we're changing up the order of things, because like I said, we got our good buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration coming in the second half of the show. So we're going to be mixing things up, and shortly we're going to get to our great moments in building history, which is going to be a really interesting topic. But before that, why don't you tell us about our new sponsor?
All righty.
Royal Retreat.
The Royal Retreat is a new assisted living facility over in the East Memphis area. And if anybody needs any information, they can contact Lana Candela. She is the Community Relations Director, and they can reach them at 901-563-2210. Basically, assisted living is that answer to really difficult family questions sometimes.
All of us have had it in our lives.
We all
right?
deal with it. We all do it. This is a newly renovated facility. It's quite beautiful. And as a matter of fact, rumor has it they're getting new gardens this week.
Okay. Wait, you said East Memphis. Where? Because I feel like I've driven by there. I'm looking forward to getting a tour.
They are right over there at 6551 Knight Arnold Road, right at Kirby Parkway.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
They're good-looking facilities.
Allan, as long as we're talking about that, I think if you're around our age, let's say, do your children a favor and start addressing this now. There's all sorts of options if you plan for this stuff, because let's face it, we're all going to get older, and
we're not getting any younger.
Do them a favor. Don't you don't want to make it more burdensome for them, but it sounds like a top-notch facility and everything too.
Very clean, very caring. It's one of those places, if you're in the market for that type of service, you definitely owe it to yourself to go take a tour.
Okay, cool. Give us the number one more time.
Alrighty. They can reach Alana Candela at the Royal Retreat at 901-563-2210.
Okay, so Royal Retreat, welcome to the Tool Talk Radio family. So
can't wait to take you over and show you the place.
Oh, yeah. All right, Allan, let's get to it, my friend.
And now, great moments in building history.
As we said, if you've listened to, I'll tell you, if you've listened to Tool Talk Radio for a while, we mentioned this in the very first Great Moments in Building History when we discussed the Chicago World's Fair of 1893, which I can never figure out because they were commemorating 1492, the anniversary of Christopher Columbus. They called it the Great Columbian Expedition, and then they celebrated it the year after. Go figure.
Yeah, well,
bad time management or something. I don't know.
Good excuse for a party.
Maybe it's how long it took Columbus to settle in America. It's like, all right, you get there in 1492. It's like, I need a year to kind of unpack this place.
We're going to unwind and everything like that. So, but Allan, this one is a really interesting. We don't have to explain what a Ferris wheel is.
No.
What we will have to explain is the size of this. This was not your little carnival Ferris wheel. This thing. Let's just start by saying you could seat 2,100 passengers at a time on this. They had 32 cars. Each car held 60 passengers. It was 286 feet tall. And to do the Wayback Machine, which I know you love to do, let's talk about this period in history, because Allan, apparently the big focus of their efforts here was to out Eiffel, right? I mean, the world was very competitive back then, and they're like, okay, well, if we're going to have a steel structure at the centerpiece of our fair, it needs to be better than the Eiffel Tower.
Well, we've already talked about the Eiffel Tower once, and you and I both knew that basically nobody wanted it.
Well, you said that. I didn't know that. You said
basically
the city.
Nobody wanted this thing until they got it.
Right, okay.
And the minute they got this thing, all of a sudden, everybody else went, well, we don't have one. I find it hilarious how, no, we don't want it. No, we don't want it. Oh, yeah, we have one and you don't.
Allan, at some point
hilarious.
we are definitely going to do a Great Moments in Building History on the Eiffel Tower, but I just want to say, in my research, I learned one thing that I was stunned by. They said that the Eiffel Tower was built at a time when they were celebrating, I guess their World's Fair was commemorating the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution, right?
Yes.
Their original idea was to make like 1,000-foot tall guillotine instead of... Who the heck thought that was a good idea? Not functioning, but still. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So they had weird ideas back then. But anyway, I digress.
All right. So here is poor Daniel Burnham. He's an architect. And they said, they have one, we don't. Mm-hmm. And they gave him one directive. How would you love to get this for your job scope?
Yeah.
Make no little plans.
Right. I mean,
that's all they told him.
Right.
And said, there's your piece of swamp right over there.
Mm-hmm.
Do something amazing.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other problem was, if you don't know much about the World's Fair of 1893, you should check it out. It's definitely a fascinating topic, and of course,
is one of the best ones ever.
And it spawned one of the best books I've ever read, "The Devil in the White City." Absolutely fascinating. But Allan, the thing is, they had very little time to get the World's Fair going, and the other thing was, the problem was that there was a lot. Steel was still a more or less new
Right.
I mean, Eiffel really revolutionized steel construction, right? But a lot of people, when they were given the directive of make this giant steel structure that's probably going to, that will be torn down, more or less make us a giant temporary structure comparable and better than the Eiffel Tower, they couldn't get anybody interested. They couldn't get any of the architects to get excited about it. That was his other challenge, right?
Well, the one thing, he had a slight advantage. He had been to Asbury Park in Atlantic City.
Okay.
And had seen something called the Roundabout.
Ah, okay.
And this was, as I recall, made by a carpenter by the name of William Summers. I could be wrong about that, but it's William Summers. And it was basically 50-foot wooden wheels. And Ferris just kind of went, what if we scaled this up? So he spent about 20. Now, keep in mind, this is 1890.
Right.
He spent $25,000 of his own money. And this is why I love this guy, because the first thing he spent it on, he drew out the plans and went for safety engineers.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
Wouldn't it be terrible if we built this great big thing and we killed everybody on it?
Well, when you look at a Ferris wheel this size, I mean, first of all, this is the first Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
You would have thought he would have started modestly, like, okay, we'll put 4 passengers in a car, not 60.
Well, like I said, he'd seen the Roundabout and went, we can do this.
Right.
But to give you the scale of this.
Can I just say one thing? Okay, because we're skipping a little bit, and there's an important thing.
Right.
We always talk about the spirit of this era, where people were like, "We're doing this.
We're just going to do this."
Well, one of the things that's fine. Okay, I mentioned earlier that they couldn't get any engineers and any architects interested in this,
right?
Until Eiffel volunteered his services. He said, "You know what? I know you're in a jam here. I will be happy to tackle this project," because he was a master at steel work, and he'd already. So his job was basically to outdo himself. And once the Americans heard about that, they're like, it struck their patriotic pride, and they're like, then everybody wanted in on it, and then George Ferris stepped to the front of the line. So that's what I want to point. They finally got him motivated with that. So,
well, there's that. Nobody wants it, but we have it now. Now everybody else wants more.
Right. It's just funny how things work, though. You know what I mean? It's like how many egos you gotta get them motivated. It's just interesting.
Okay. So all right. Here's one fact that will give you the scale of this thing.
Yeah.
Because it all operated off of an axle.
Right. Well, no kidding. The axle.
The one axle.
Everything's
one axle. The axle alone was 89,320 pounds.
Right. It's a big axle. So they had to move that.
Can you imagine? Yeah, we talk about logistics.
Oh, and Allan, the other thing was you would think, if you don't know anything about the World's Fair, you're like, okay, well, because I think they had about 3 years to do this, which sounds like a lot, but
it's not.
With all the building. And so the construction of the Ferris wheel didn't even start till the fair had opened.
Right.
So you talk about your logistics. You got thousands and thousands of people around in this swampy, area by the lake, and you got to get this 89,000 pound axle. They had you had to construct this thing on a fair site. Have fun with that.
The axle
and not kill anybody.
And you had to get it 140 feet in the air.
Right. No, 286. Oh, you're talking about the axle.
The axle.
Right.
Just the axle was just to give you the sheer scale of this, Eiffel chose basically high-rise technology.
So you stack
build,
it,
you build.
Right.
And
he had an elevator. Yeah.
And he also had sense enough to know that steel expanded and contracted. So it was built in such a way that the Eiffel Tower in summer is 6 inches taller than it is in the winter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's very interesting.
It grows and shrinks. Eiffel was an absolute genius all these years later. So here is 2 gargantuan towers, 140 feet in the air. There is a 90,000-pound axle.
Jeez.
And we're going to mount the gondolas around it.
Right. Well, when you see how it's constructed, it's interesting. It starts to look like a half moon and a half. But the thing is, in the middle, what's fascinating to me, Allan, it almost reminds me of bicycle spokes, because you would think, man, those spokes have to be much thicker. I don't know. It doesn't look like it should work.
But it did.
And a lot of people felt that way as it was going up. There were some people that were vehemently against this. They
Yes.
said, this is the biggest death trap we've ever seen. It's not only it might just tip over and crush everybody. It
Well-
may not even it may not even work.
They got one of the early one of the guys they got to take a ride in it early to convince people it was safe was a reporter named Robert Graves.
Yeah, wasn't he one of the detractors or
Yeah,
or
he was. He was the
Okay.
one that's like, this thing's going to be like going to fling you off into the lake. You're all going to die. So they got him up there, and he said that it was like that of revolving through such a vast orbit in a bird cage.
Okay, was that good
And
or
that
bad?
it was also an indescribable sensation to see the aerial panorama of the area. Because most
You
people have
don't
never
see
been that
that.
high in their lives.
You don't see a sky. I mean,
Right, we don't have
skyscrapers were just sort
airplanes
of
and drones and Google
Right.
Earth. Nobody had ever been more than 100 feet in the air, unless you worked iron.
Yeah.
That makes me think of the way that you said people reacted at the World's Fair, how when they saw electricity, they cried.
Oh yeah, these were life-changing experiences, and it was just basically based on, okay, now I can see a light. Now I'm going 286 feet in the air, that type of thing. So, but we've all been on a Ferris wheel. I like to believe. I'm sure most of us have. In fact, Max, I think you've been on the Chicago Ferris wheel. That's pretty tall. It's probably just about as tall as this. And
I would. Yes, I have. I'd also be kind of curious to see if there's any Ferris wheels that have been bigger than this one, like
there are.
the London Eye.
well, I think the one in Dubai is the biggest
they-
at the moment. But there is this sensation when you're on a Ferris wheel of climbing. It's almost like flying, the way it moves you up and everything. And then especially when you come out and you're coming down, because you feel like you're totally exposed and you're really just out in the middle of nowhere.
Dangling in a gondola, yeah.
So that sensation would have been totally foreign to people of that era. So I don't
Part
know.
that spoke to me about this whole Ferris wheel discussion is more of the drama that went behind it, where it's like, oh, people wanted to get married in there because it's like, all right, you could fit 60 people in a cab and everything. So it's like, all right, there's the wedding party, there's the pastor. All right, let's get this wedding going.
Right.
Yeah.
People were. Well, you would have to say it was a huge. We'll get to that in a minute, but it
Well,
was a huge success.
Sort of.
In term, well, not for Ferris,
Not
but
for
but what I
Ferris,
want to
no.
say is, Allan, what was interesting was so they got the thing built, and then they hadn't attached the cars, which
Right.
I don't remember if I don't know if I wrote down the full weight of this thing. I want to say it's like $1.5 million. I don't even remember how much it weighs. A lot. This whole thing weighs about 1.5 million pounds or something
This
like
is
that.
not light.
But what was interesting was, so this thing's under construction for months, and they wanted to fire it up and test it before they started attaching the cars. And when they did, apparently, I think there was a reporter there, and you got to keep in mind this thing's been out in it's right by Lake Michigan.
Yep.
It's been out in the elements. So they fired it up. The first thing that happened is all of these nuts and bolts and wrenches that people either dropped or forgot to whatever. Now they're rotating and they started raining down.
Yeah.
And so that freaked everybody out. And then when they were going to test the braking system, it apparently let off this horrific sound. And it was pretty ear splitting and everything. But what it was basically there was a coat of rust on there that the discs were breaking it off. So it wasn't really a bad thing, but apparently it didn't do much to calm people's nerves.
No.
Was
the PR was not good on it.
No.
Was there ever an instance where the RPMs were actually amped up and like the Ferris wheel at like went at a high speed?
No, not at this weight. They were worried about it actually getting up to speed.
Right. And we should say the speed of this thing was because once it was open and they loaded everybody up, 2 rotations took 20 minutes, which
Yes.
That's pretty good. 2, I don't know what the math is, how many miles per hour that is.
This is
but-
back in an era where it's like, oh, you're gonna die if you go on a train because it's so fast.
Yeah, that's true. People
At
thought that
35
way.
miles an hour, your body will be crushed. Yes.
Right. So there was a lot of trepidation about this. I'm amazed it even got built. Like I could see something like this being built on a half that scale, but man, this is big. That's a 20-story building
Yeah.
almost.
That's 250 some odd feet clearance with, This is massive, absolutely massive.
But they did get it loaded up, and as we said, once it opened, so it cost 50 cents to ride this thing, and apparently, so the basic breakdown was, in the course of however many months it was there, 1.5 million people rode this thing. I mean, that's just nonstop, right? I mean, you might imagine we've lined up at Disneyland or something like that. Imagine the line for that, because every time they change it out, it's 2,100 people.
Well, and keep in mind how long it took to load and unload each gondola, because each gondola was 60 people.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you would have been on this thing probably almost an hour, right? I mean, they load it. What I was wondering is, do they load it, get everybody loaded, rotate it twice, and then clear everybody out? But okay.
So there was this was a lengthy time period.
Okay.
That, if you were the last gondola loaded, you probably spent a good hour in that gondola.
Well, you could see why people, tried to do their weddings and stuff up there and everything.
You could have. There were lunches and brunches and all kind. I mean,
they had like champagne toast and stuff.
There were crazy things going on in these gondolas. So, welcome to it. And at the end of it, poor Ferris apparently didn't pay all of his bills, so he got sued a bunch of times.
Well,
and finally,
he didn't get paid either on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He was supposed to make a percentage of that money back, and apparently there was finances that
there was some
were
hinky
bad
stuff. And then the poor guy catches typhoid fever and dies at age 37.
Right.
And
his wife
wrecking
left him
company bought the wheel and sold it to the Louisiana Purchase Exposition in St. Louis.
Yeah, like 3 years later, right?
And
they tore it down and then reassembled it. Yeah.
Well, no, because it turned out to be too big of a pain to try to move it. So it got dynamited into scrap.
Wait, Allan. I think
after the exposition, 2 years after the St. Louis exposition.
Okay, because they did move it. That was the other thing.
But they didn't move it again.
Well, we should say he in terms of engineering marvel, this was because he had to build it on site. So this thing had to be assembled and with a view to disassembling, because they knew it was a temporary structure, and he was not about to just blow the thing up. I mean, initially the plan was maybe this thing gets reused over and over, which it did in St. Louis.
It was supposed to move from exposition to exposition,
but eventually the cost of moving it and everything was too much. But we talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about that basket building, the basket company. This is the same thing. This was a great achievement. I mean, people still know the Ferris wheel today. It's known worldwide. However, it took its toll on him because it cost him his business.
Yes, it did.
Because while you're building the Ferris wheel, all of your other work is
you're not doing anything else.
You're not generating any money. Like I said, he had personal tragedies with his wife and everything, and then the poor guy gets sick and dies at 37.
Yep.
So, but so I don't know though. I mean, in the big scheme of things, he's still
immortalized in one of the trademark features of any Adventure World theme park or other such.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, hadn't got a Ferris wheel, the other parks are going to pick on you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you don't have one.
It is the centerpiece. And so it was a great moment in building history. But, like we said, Allan, these great moments are not always sunshine and daisies at the end. So, but folks, check out the video if you want to. I linked a really awesome video. It's about 23 minutes, pretty comprehensive, and it gives you a little backstory on the whole World's Fair and especially the Ferris wheel. So, so check it out. So, Allan, hey, let's shift gears once again, sir, because like I said, we have to mix things up today.
Alrighty.
All right, so let's get to our must-have item of the week, which is pretty simple, but it's handy. And tell people what I'm holding up.
You have the pocket tape measure.
It's a pot. So it's this little round, and I remember seeing my mom working with these things back in the day.
For sewing and stuff. You usually saw those around the house.
Because this thing is only about a 3-foot tape measure. It's about like 2 inches in diameter. Right. It's got a little red button in the middle to lock it and to spring load the thing. But it's flexible, because I mean, Allan, I'm sure you like me have several tape measures because sometimes you need I have a 100-foot tape measure and I have 30-foot. I have whatever, but. I like this because it is flexible. The flexibility is the key to me, and you can stick it in your pocket.
Right. It is a cloth, and actually you see those used a ton in medical.
Oh, for what?
Measuring around things.
I was going to say because you can wrap it around
you
a
look around
diameter.
there, you're trying to find out what somebody's wrist diameter is because we got to buy a device to go on it and find out you got a 6-inch wrist. There you
Okay.
go.
And you can probably, I guess you could measure your head if you got to know what size hat to buy or.
Or, well, in medical, we're always looking at some kind of padding or device, and we need to know what size you need.
Mm-hmm.
So those are very, very useful.
I like it because you can take it somewhere. Like if you're going to, if you're buying yourself a new chair or something, or you're maybe a little table or something. Sometimes you don't want to carry your big tape measure around, and you can keep it in your pocket.
Right.
You go there and because you may need the exact height on something or the exact width. So as long as it's 3 feet or under, I guess you're in business. But sometimes too, have you ever been in the plumbing aisle where, for whatever you just need to know an exact diameter of that PVC pipe or something, and
on more than one occasion for more than one really strange job.
Well,
where you either need to know the exact measurement from outside edge to outside edge or inside edge to inside edge.
Yeah, because I've had times, and I'm sure you've done this, where you almost have a Frankenstein type project where over in this section I got to get the PVC pipe, and then I got to attach it to the sheet metal stuff that I've rigged over here in the other section. And when you have a nice little portable tape measure like this, it just makes it easy to navigate and easy to figure out. So that's it. Pretty simple. It probably costs $5. You know, you probably have to go get it at the fabric store though. I'm thinking. I don't know that I've seen this at the big box store.
No.
Okay. Well, Allan, hour 1 of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but never fear, folks. Hour 2 is coming up, and we're looking forward to it because we're going to be visiting with our good buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I think I just blew Larry's air out. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. I skipped everything, Allan. Okay, let's regroup here. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and the man who keeps the lights on over here, Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration. So, Larry, sorry, man. I think I blasted you out with that little greeting. So,
well, my hearing will probably come back in a week or two. So it'll be all right. Good morning. How are you?
We've always been told to project. So, hey, Larry, we're on camera, and, we've got a new sponsor.
Yes. The cameras are being brought to you by the Royal Retreat Assisted Living.
Yeah. So they're part of the new Tool Talk Radio family, Larry. So watch your P's and Q's. You're on camera, sir. If you guys have always wondered what Larry Brown looks like, or what any of us look like, or what this beautiful studio looks like, I'll tell you this: we've got faces for radio, Allan, but the studio has a face for television. You can go to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and check it out and watch the show unfold live on camera.
We look like we've worked for a living.
I prefer how the sausage is made.
Yeah, I noticed Max turned his camera off.
Oh yeah,
strategically. So Larry,
the only young, good-looking guy in the room.
What have you been up to? I'm sure it's been a very slow and uneventful time in the air conditioning game, right, sir? So,
oh, yeah. We've just been sitting around the office playing dominoes and, having some lemonade out on the patio and stuff like that. It's been real calm. So
the reality is you need 3 more trucks. And you need
I've been seeing your trucks around town, Larry. I don't know.
Well, we've been really busy. Obviously trying to get a lot of our, tune-ups done, people's air conditioners ready to go for the summer. That's kind of like what we do this time of year, is just trying to get our bodies service and maintenance done before the hot weather gets here. And, next week it's supposed to be in the 80s. So you know what happens in Memphis when it gets to the 80s. It won't be one day. It'll just all of a sudden, boom! It'll be in the 90s, and then it'll be hot weather until probably October. So you got to plan ahead and make sure that you're keeping your AC unit ready to go, because I can promise you it will get hot.
Well, Larry, when I'm out in the field, and because we always talk about you, we talk about the importance of your HVAC system, and people, we always equate it with having if you have a really top notch car mechanic, you're going to stick with them for life because you need somebody to not only for those catastrophic repairs, but just the tune-ups. You need that. Well, I've been asked what do you actually do for a tune-up for an air conditioning unit, and I think it's actually a pretty good question. So.
Well, it is a great question, and so basically our tune-up would include we clean your condenser coil, which is the coil outside that that would get gets dirty, needs to be cleaned. So we also change your filter, just common sizes. We bring the filters with us. We change them out. We check the refrigerant level or the freon level, which most people know it as. We tighten all your electrical connections. We do put some small chlorine tablets in your drain line, so that'll help keep any algae or any kind of blockage. And then we just do basically a general inspection of your system. So we're looking at not only the heating and air conditioning equipment, we look at the ductwork. So, we visually inspect all your ductwork. Maybe there's something happened in this winter. Maybe some kind of critter got up in your attic. Maybe there's some ductwork damage that you don't know about that we're going to see while we're there. So, and then, obviously, just make sure the unit's operating at peak efficiency.
Right. Yeah. I've seen some ductwork issue. You've seen that. Now, somebody sits on a duct. An animal chews through it or whatever, and it's just blowing that air right up into the attic.
Absolutely,
so,
and a lot of most homes now are done with flex duct or flexible duct, and it's a pretty good product, but it's not too good for critters like varmints or any kind of like raccoons, squirrels can pretty much chew right through it. Yeah. So when they do, it's going to be leaking a lot of warm or cold air into your attic, and you're paying for to produce that air, whether it's cold air or hot air. It's costing you money to produce, and you're just blowing it into the attic. So it's almost equated to like having your window open while you're running your heating and air conditioning system. So we try to make sure that all that's in good shape, and then again we do all the steps to make sure your unit is running as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, I've seen, man. I don't know, the duct stuff. I feel like that alone is important because it's very subtle. Sometimes, like I was on a job. I think Larry, you guys had to come over and fix. Well, my Midtown job. You've been over there like 3 times because she keeps updating things. But man, there was one duct where it was loose over there by the connection. You wouldn't see it unless you knew what to look for. It came loose by the vent into the ceiling and everything. And it was just. For one thing, things can crawl in there and then get into your ceiling, but you guys nip that in the bud. So
well, and also, Joe, is if there is a return or what is basically the inlet of the ductwork. So if that gets compromised, then you're going to be pulling in attic air. It's going to be dusty. It's going to be hot. You're introducing all that dust and contaminants into your home to where obviously, that's going to even make them a bigger problem because now you've got a lot of dust and debris in your home.
Oh yeah,
all that. So not only are you bringing in hot or cold air into your return, but you're bringing all the dust and contaminants in.
Hey, we're talking to our good buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration, and Larry, we didn't mention you always, whenever you come on the air with us, you always have these really awesome specials. So let's throw those out there because listeners may want to take advantage of that. So what do we got today, my friend?
Well, just with that theme of your tune-up, we're offering our tune-up service special, $79.99 for your first unit, $39.99 for each additional unit. So if you got 2, 3, 4, 5, just do the math. We'll come out and tune it up just like we discussed. And get you ready for the summer. If you're in the market for a new Trane heating and air conditioning unit, we're offering 24 months no interest financing on a new Trane system. We're also going to throw in a free programmable thermostat, a free media filter, and a free 10-year parts warranty. So also right now we do have some rebates on certain systems. You can get up to a $500 rebate from Train, and there are some federal tax credits out there on particular systems. So those are available depending on what unit you choose. So, it's a great time to buy a heating and air conditioning unit. Take advantage of all these great offers. The next thing is $100 off on a Remy Halo. So if you're interested in the Remy Halo, give us a call. We're offering $100 off on that. And also $100 off on our duct cleaning services. So if you want to take advantage of any of these offers, just give us a call at 901-362-1881. Or you can check us out on the web at brownref.com. Or you can check us out on Facebook. Give us a call. We'll be glad to speak with you, glad to help you any way we can.
You guys have a pretty active Facebook page, but my ears perked up at something, Larry, because you said something about federal tax credit. And sometimes people hear that, and I don't know. Allan, do you do your own taxes?
Oh, no.
Larry, do you do your own taxes?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I do my own taxes because I learned long ago that I'm more aggressive at taking, like when I do my taxes, I pull out the book, I look at every new law that came out, and I'll tell you one thing that one of the reasons I do my own taxes because I want to take advantage of every, now I have simpler books probably to keep than you do, Larry. However, I've learned that these federal tax credits can, if you know what you're doing, can be pretty substantial. I mean, like I get a great credit because I work out of my house, but this federal tax credit is interesting to me. Do you know much about this? Or
well, yes, there's been a big push for electrical, going over to electric heating. Okay. So when I say that, it's like instead of using natural gas or other fossil fuels, is to switch over to do a heat pump. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, heat pumps. Heat pumps are really good. They heat really well down to maybe 30 degrees."
Okay.
And then after that, they kind of struggle a little bit. What you can do is put a dual fuel system in. So you have a heat pump with a gas furnace. And then we can set it up to where at 30 degrees, if it goes below 30 degrees, you can use the gas furnace. Above 30 degrees, it would use the heat pump. And, that way you're taking advantage of the best of both worlds. Then you'd also qualify for the tax credit. In some states, which I was reading earlier this morning, New York has basically pretty much banned natural gas in any new construction.
Huh.
So everything's, you need new homes, new commercial buildings. It's going to be all electric.
Sounds like a hybrid vehicle. Kind of.
It's kind of like a hybrid vehicle, there's been a huge push to, for electric vehicles, everything to be electric, get away from fossil fuels. So I don't think there's as much of a push locally in Tennessee as there are other states. Mm-hmm. But, there are federal tax credits you can take advantage of, and it really will help you on your heating and cooling costs. Your heating costs because you're able to heat in the mild conditions with heat pump, much more economical to operate. And then only when you need it, in the cold temperatures, you do have the gas furnace.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sorry. My ears are perking up because I've already had Larry over at the house, Allan, because we're way overdue. We have sort of an antique HVAC system at our house, and when Larry saw it, he tried not to laugh.
I love the look on Larry's face with that one.
Yeah.
He's kind of like antique's like kind word, Joe.
But this new federal tax credit is even more incentive. So this is cool. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there really is, a federal tax credit, and obviously what you do is that when you purchase the system, we'll give you all the necessary documents you need, and then when you file your taxes for 23 back in 24, you'll have a tax credit, and I think it's up to $2,500.
That's nothing to sneeze at, man.
That's
So
pretty
to help
serious, yeah.
To help you, offset the cost of, putting this system in. So it's real money. It's a real program. And, we provide you all the proper documentation that you need. And you don't have to send that in with your tax form, but if you got it audited, you would need that documentation, right? So you got to make sure you got all the paperwork to back up your tax form. So
yeah. I don't know, man. You talked about real money, and I guess that's why I like, that's one of the things about the HVAC system. If it runs well, you are literally saving money every month, and at the end of the year, you're going to notice that, and that's money you're keeping. So it really an efficient HVAC system will pay for itself.
it will. Our average, if we change out a 20-year-old system and we put in a new, 2023 modern system, average is about $75 a month in energy savings.
Yeah.
That's just what we got back from our customers. So if you start thinking about that, that's $800+ a year.
Right.
And, in 10 years, you're going to, probably pay for the system. That's based on current utility costs. If the utilities go up, then you're going to even save more money.
Yeah.
So, and then also you got to think about there's not, it's under warranty parts for 10 years. So you're not going to have any repair bills that you're maybe chunking money into an old system, 20 years old. You may be having to, do little stuff to it, put some refrigerant in it, there's little parts and stuff. So you don't have any of that involved. So it is a win-win by changing your system out, getting a more modern heating and air conditioning unit.
You just made, sorry. Did you have any questions, Allan? Because he always gives me these, I'm triggering, you talked about refrigerant because back when we were changing over from, what was it, the R30?
R22?
R22, you were warning us years in advance that you have to plan for this. And that happened, 3 years ago?
January 1, 2020.
Okay.
So that date, you can no longer manufacture or import R22 into the United States. There is still some around, people have it stocked. I still have a little bit, but it is fading quickly. And once that's gone, it's gone. So if you have an R22 system, which there's literally tens of thousands of them still out there, you sure need to think about, making a planned event to get that old system out and putting something in that's more modern. It's going to not only save you money in operating costs, but it's going to save you money if there was any kind of a repair bill, because R22 is it's almost like buying gold now. It is super expensive, and, obviously it's going to be expensive to the end user.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Like if we've totally transitioned over or if there's still holdouts.
No. There's still lots of those old units out there.
Absolutely. The tens of thousands, if not millions of those systems out there. One thing that I don't think that, our government did a good job was actually informing the public about this. They kind of created this rule or law that, affected pretty much everybody in America, but they didn't tell anybody about it. So,
yeah, we all have air conditioning units, so.
Yeah, but they weren't very good at, publicizing or informing the public about this. So a lot of people are kind of shocked and say, well, why wasn't I informed about this? So on and so forth. Well, they can make a law and they're not required to tell you about it. But you'll figure it out on your own when you need an air conditioner repair, right?
Now, if they listened to Tool Talk Radio, they would have known about this years ago, right?
We started talking.
I was telling everybody about this in 2017, 2018, 2019. It really happened, and so this has been over 3 years ago, and R22 is very scarce and very expensive.
Can I? Not to, but it's not. We don't get you in the studio enough, Larry. I know you duty calls, but when you're here, I have all these questions and stuff. So I'm kind of curious. What would you say your biggest? I don't want to say pet peeve, but what are some of the most preventable problems that people create for themselves with their HVAC system? That when you walk up, you and your techs walk up and you're like just shaking your head. Why did they do this? Or what are some of the things people should be avoiding?
Well, just routine maintenance. You'll sometimes we go to customers and we'll say, Well, when's the last time you changed your filter? Filter? What? It has a filter? And, literally it hadn't been changed for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So what do you think is going to be, the filter's going to be clogged. It's going to cause problems with your unit.
Yeah.
So just basic maintenance is probably my biggest pet peeve is because, you got to anything like that, your automobile, your air conditioner, you got to do some type of maintenance to it or you're going to have a major problem. And sometimes it's the lack of maintenance has turned a small issue into a large issue. So now you burn your compressor up.
Yeah.
Or just like a car, if you don't take your car and have regular oil changes, what's going to happen? You're going to damage the engine. Then you're going to be looking at thousands of dollars.
Yeah. A lot of it seems like it's just very preventative. I mean, don't stack everything next to your HVAC unit outside, right? It has to breathe. It needs
absolutely
a blast radius around it.
Right.
So,
well, it's usually like a couple feet around the unit. So, and if you put some bushes or something around it, bushes are, most of those are like 80% air anyway. So
right.
It's as long as you just keep it trimmed back, you're fine. But, if you decide to put a fence around it, don't build the fence like 4 inches from your unit because you're going to have a problem. So just use a little common sense and have them serviced, and they'll last for a long time. But, if you don't have it serviced and you don't take care of it, you're headed for a disaster.
How do people get in touch with Brown Refrigeration, sir?
It's 901-362-1881 is our phone number. So give us a call. We have real human beings that answer the phone. You're not going to have to be prompted to press 1 to go to,
oh
or
my
2.
Gosh, yes.
It'll be a real person that answers the phone, and we'll help you any way we can. Or, if you just want to check out some really good information, you can go to our website at brownref.com. There's lots of good information on there. A lot of how our air conditioners works. We got videos, got product data, all that. There's a lot of information on there that you can just browse through it.
Okay.
Check it out.
Hey, Larry, before we hit the break, can you give us one more time? Because you always offer some great specials. So what are the specials if people want to take advantage of this? So.
Well, we're offering our service special tune-up today, $79.99 for each unit, $39.99 for each additional unit. So your first unit, $79.99. Each additional unit is $39.99. If you're interested in a new Train heating and air conditioning unit, a 24 months no interest financing, we're going to throw in a free programmable thermostat, a free media filter, and a free 10-year parts warranty. Also, there's some rebates that you might qualify for, not only equipment but federal. So, give us a call, 901-362-1881 if we can help you.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to be researching this federal tax credit because that got my attention. I mean, that's real money, sir. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's real money that you can, use to pay for your new heating and air conditioning system.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So I think, Larry, I don't know if we have time for you to drop by my house today, but it's we need to revisit this thing.
My wife has me the rest of the day doing yard work. So
okay, yeah, it sounds about right.
I'd be glad to come by if you want to go cut grass. I'll go by your house.
Yeah, let's skip that. Okay. Hey, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to switch gears. We're going to share our first home improvement projects.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Okay, you know what? Shut up.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah, we've all
gets right to the point. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and our the man who keeps the lights on around here, Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go over to Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page. Check out the action over there. And once you've liked the page and checked out the posts we've made, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis Facebook page And you can see the show, Alan. The
Yes.
Royal Retreat studio cam is on, and if that's your thing, if you want to see what it looks like in here with us doing the show, there you go. So.
Not real. The studio's beautiful. I don't know about the participants.
Yeah.
well, the
Other than
content,
Max.
I get.
Who turned his camera off? Larry's been making faces in the camera the whole time, trying to distract us. You can see, what it looks like here behind the scenes. So, but Larry, we've been talking to you about HVAC maintenance, about taking advantage of these great deals, especially the federal tax credit that's coming out. So, before we move on to other topics, one more time, because if people just tuned in, you always offer really great specials for our listeners, and I feel like we need to mention that one more time. So,
Okay, sure. So, we're offering our spring tune-up special, $79.99 for your first unit, $39.99 for each additional unit. So if you got 2, 3, 4, 5 units, you can just do the math, come out and service them, get them ready for the summer. Or if you're in the market for a new Train heating and air conditioning unit, we're offering 24-month, no interest financing. We're going to throw in a free programmable thermostat, a free media filter, and a free 10-year parts warranty on any system you purchase. Additionally, some of the units or some of the systems do qualify for rebates from Train, manufacturer's rebates, as well as the federal tax credit rebates. So we'd be glad to discuss that in detail, depending on your particular needs. Also, we're offering $100 off on our Remy Halos. So that's a great product. Knocking $100 off on that. And also, to get your home ready for the spring, spring cleaning, you clean everybody traditionally cleans, does a lot of extra cleaning in the spring. Get those ducts clean. You'd be surprised at how that will help with the dust and, there's pollen in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that gets in your ductwork. It doesn't leave. So when you walk in, you've got it on your shoes, your clothes. It gets in your home. It's hard to get that stuff out of your home if you don't clean your ductwork. So we're offering $100 off on our duct cleaning service. So if you're interested in any of these services, just give us a call at 901-362-1881, or you can check us out on the web at brownref.com, or you can check us out on Facebook. We got a really nice Facebook page, and we try to update it daily. So just check it out. Sometimes there's specials on there too. So anyway, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call if we can help you in any way.
Okay, sounds good, man. Hey, also, in a minute, we're going to share our home improvement story. We're going to share stories of the first home improvement project we ever did. We're not including painting. We're not including changing the handles in your kitchen cabinets, Alan. I know you like to go for the mundane stuff, but no, what was the first genuine, really, major improvement you made to your first home? Because I think that says a lot about your priorities, and it's a kind of a little insight. And if you've got something like that you want to share it over at our Facebook page, or send us a text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline, 901-683-0989. In fact, before we get to that, Alan, let's talk about our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling.
Oh, yes.
Larry, we've got you guys on speed dial. If a week doesn't go by where one of us isn't, calling you or our good buddy Jay Hill.
Well, that's good. We obviously we love to hear from y'all, and appreciate business that you send us, but also it's just great to meet new people, make new friends.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want to meet new people and make friends, Jay Hill is a very dynamic personality, as we've said. If you're bored, just call the guy at 11 o'clock at night and talk about sports.
Yeah, he get excited.
Yeah, he doesn't care. So, but what he specializes in is the exterior protection of your home from top to bottom. Roofing, gutters, siding, windows. They also specialize in remodeling, but he's really zeroed in on the exterior protection, and especially when it comes to roofing. What I like is, Larry, you work with Train. That's sort of your exclusive partnership.
Right.
He has an exclusive partnership with GAF because they really are at the cutting edge of roofing technology and these roofing systems. And Alan, pretty soon we're going to be doing these solar roofs, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's a product that is rolling out as we speak.
Yeah, so that's going to be, so when you want to stay at the cutting edge, you want to work with the best. So GAF, he is a master elite installer, 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau and Good Housekeeping. But also what sets Jay apart is the fact that he is a former insurance agent. So, man, there are situations where you may have damage to your roof or to your home that is covered by your homeowner's insurance. And you don't want to just pick up the phone and call your homeowner's insurance and say, by the way, I have this problem. What you really need is you need an advocate, and
Yes,
Jay
you do.
he's ideally placed to be that advocate. So let's suppose you've got an issue with your roof. Well, you get our buddy Jay Hill on the phone. You get him to come out and do a free consultation, and by the end of that visit, you will know what your path forward is. Which, man, information is key. Allan, you and I had our roof replaced.
We did.
With an insurance claim, and there's such a peace of mind that comes from that. Not only does it save you a lot of money, but also every time it rains, man, it's just, this is a lifetime transferable warranty. This roof is guaranteed for life.
It is.
If I have a problem, I'll call Jay 20 years from now and get it fixed. So you cannot beat the service. They install roofing systems, and the same goes for their gutters, siding, and windows as well. So get in touch with Jay. You can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. If I have one little beef with Jay, though, your website's a lot easier to say, Larry. I mean, who came up with Brown REF? That's Jay's is a mouthful.
That's a long story. We were actually going to do BRI, which was Brown Refrigeration Incorporated. So that's what we wanted to get. But unfortunately, some mental institution in New York already had that, so we couldn't get it. So
you didn't want to cross those streams, did you?
No.
That gets confusing. I like Brown REF.
But we came up with brownref.com, and it's pretty easy to remember. And sometimes, like you say, there is, when people come out with their websites, it's pretty much a mouthful when you say it's difficult to remember. It's a lot easier if you have a website that is easy to remember, but there's obviously in today's world, there's a lot less availability out there too.
You know why? Because of people like Allan. Allan buys up website domains and sits on them until he can sell them for $10,000 or whatever. But
that's a good deal, man.
On the upside, though, Big M Roofing and Remodeling.com tells you exactly what the company does. So just I like to tease Jay, whatever. But all right, let's shift gears before I get in trouble. So. Max, hit it, man. So.
I actually have an interjection because it's a question from a listener, if you don't mind.
Sounds good.
So I'm just going to call them 335 because they don't have a name.
Oh, okay.
They said, I decided to change the theme in my spare bathroom. I started removing the toilet paper holder. Apparently the builder never expected anyone to do that. So I now have a 9x9 hole in my wall. What tools do I need and how do I repair it?
Oh, very interesting. So they got a hole. Now, I'd be curious if they pulled it. It's a bathroom. It could be tile or it could be sheetrock. I guess I'm wondering what they pulled this out of. You know what I mean? So, or how old the home is. This sounds like to me, if I had to assume, this sounds like a home that was built at least before 1970, don't you think? I mean, they don't even do this anymore, right? These big tile insert things. So.
Yeah, it was like a recessed paper holder instead of being surface mounted. It was like recessed in the wall, and so when you pull it out, there's a big hole in the wall.
Yep, big hole in the wall. The biggest thing here is you're going to be replacing wall.
Right.
So what are you putting back in? Obviously, we're not putting the big porcelain holder back in.
Right.
So are we doing a surface mount? So if we're doing a surface mount at this point, boy, welcome to my last 3 weeks. You're going to be putting in some sheetrock.
Oh, yeah.
So you have a couple of choices. You can go ahead and cut the edges of that hole out to the studs. Just take your little...
Oh, you're going nuclear, huh? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we're going to have something that needs some support.
Right.
It's like, because we're going to put something that people are going to tug on. Hopefully, they're not going to tug on it hard, but people do have pets, and pets pull on things. So you can just trim that out to the studs, give yourself about half an inch on either side, cut you a new piece of sheetrock, seed it in, mud it, tape it, sand it, make it look pretty, paint it up, and now you can surface mount whatever you want.
Okay. I have a gritty street level repair for this situation. Larry, what do you do in this situation? Do you?
Well, I'd probably go online and see if I could find a bigger paper holder that would cover the hole. Boom. It's done.
I like that answer.
You could do that. You could stick a piece of wood. Okay. So and the one thing, dear listener, if you go on YouTube, you're going to see you're going to probably find tons of videos on how this is done. Some are going to be better than others,
oh, yes.
As far as that goes. Now, we're assuming it's going over sheetrock. We don't really know. Right. But because if it's tile, that's its own issue.
I think they said it's going over sheetrock.
Okay. So if I hope I can paint a picture here. One of the things I've done, Allan, in the past is if I don't, you may not have room to cut from stud to stud, or maybe, I don't know. It just depends.
In that case, you're going to have to back brace the hole.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll take usually a nice size, I'll take like a piece of, I don't know, pine, like a 3.5 inch, we call it a 1x4, even though it's 3.5 inches by 3/4 or something. I'll cut it about, let's suppose this hole is, 6 inches. If it's about a 6-inch hole, I'll cut it to be about 18 inches, believe it or not. And then you put it in there. And one thing I've learned is you take like some tape or you take some string and you wrap it around the middle of it because you have to pull it towards you while you're.
Yes.
So I hope I can describe this, but basically you pull the piece of wood snugly inside the stud. So inside the sheetrock, and then you screw it in carefully, not over tightening, because if you over tighten, you're going to poke a hole. And then sometimes I've taken like construction adhesive, I've glued a piece of sheetrock onto there, or I'll screw it in, and then, but don't put too many screws. And the reason I do an 18 inch is so it disperses the weight, and then float it out. And I would not put the toilet paper holder right over that repair, because that's asking for trouble. Scoot it over a foot one way or another, I think. So. That's my personal opinion. Or if you can hit a stud, that's better.
Right.
So.
Well, what I've done in the past is the infamous paint stick.
Paint sticks are good.
Man,
paint
sticks are wonderful. And because you can put a screw right in the middle of it, and you can slide it into the hole, get it up in there, and that give you, with the screw in the center of it, give you something really good and hard you can pull against.
Yeah.
So that when you put your lock screws in, the lock screws will actually bite through and give you a nice surface to push against to keep your sheetrock in there.
Yeah. I'll tell you this too, dear listener. One thing that is your friend in this situation, I'm a big fan of that. I think it's more or less called instant grab construction adhesive.
Yes.
Now, I'm not talking about, we can't give out name brands. I'm not talking about that stuff that takes forever to dry and it leaves like a thin, gooey layer. I'm talking about the stuff, it almost goes on like caulk, but you pull it tight and it grabs it almost instantly, and it'll harden. It's easier to clean up. It's water. Clean up and all that, and then float it out. But I would be leery of putting the toilet paper holder over the repair you just made. I think it's either way it'll be dicey. But that was a good question. I think a lot of people encounter that. So, and I don't get that. Maybe that deserves its own design flaw. These giant tile things that they used to insert. You'd see those in showers and stuff.
Yeah,
Larry.
it's like a porcelain soap dish or a porcelain recessed paper holder. And, they're kind of made into the walls. So if you ever want to change them, typically nowadays it'd be surface mounted, where there's drywall behind it.
Right.
You can just take it off the wall and just put something else up there. So yeah, it is a little challenge it's a challenge to kind of get them out sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cause they're kind of, they're in there pretty hard, but they're mudded in and, caulked in and all that. So, but once you get it out, then you got a big hole in the wall you got to deal with.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of times they stuck them in showers and things like that, which,
bathrooms.
So you're better off just gutting everything. So, okay. Very good question. So, hey, Allan, we don't want to run out of time. We're going to get to our home improvement stories. But before we get to that, why don't you tell us what's going on with Dark Oak Media this week, because I have a feeling something is going on.
Oh, there's always lots going on with Dark Oak Media right now. Of course, our podcasts are up at Spotify, and YouTube. So feel free to pop over to tooltalkradio.com and you can binge, Joe and Allan for hours and hours and hours.
If that's your thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Of course, our big hits are the perpetually, it came from the international market.
Right.
The evil producer goes and buys snack foods from around the world and feeds it to his friends.
Yeah.
Upcoming this week will be some comedy shorts about people you have met at movie theaters or people you have met while going to a garage sale.
These are stereotyped, I'm sure,
these
characters.
are funny beyond belief, and they will be posted this week.
Now that sounds good. The rummage sale people are the ones I'm curious about.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a hardcore group, man. They get there. They get up at 5 a.m.
Man, that
with
is
their
a
trailers
society
and
all
everything.
to itself. It is amazing.
Okay, darkoakmedia.com. So check it out. Shifting gears to my shameless promotion, Allan, I will say that one thing that warms my heart is when I show up at the big box store, which I do pretty much every day. There is more lumber. The lumber is coming out of the woodwork.
Literally.
So lumber is not at a shortage anymore, which is great for people like me. So if you've got a project that you need for your home, especially I love outside projects like a deck or a patio cover or a screened-in porch, or actually, Larry, I've got a project coming up that's going to involve you because it's going to be there's an older home in Midtown and they want me to build them a laundry room, but this is going to be a brand new addition to their home. So they're going to need HVAC over there.
Okay.
So we'll get, and actually they're going to need a roof. So we'll get Jay Hill over there. So I love projects like that, especially if you've got a weird project, like maybe you want an outdoor wooden Stonehenge built in your backyard. Call me. I'd be all over that in a heartbeat. So
Down with that.
Get in touch with me. You can call me directly at 901-921-7105, or you can go to my website, thorshomes.com. Okay, now let's get to our, I think we're ready. So we're going to exchange some home improvement stories, I hope. Larry, I don't know if you prepared for this or not.
Tool
but,
Tales.
I did my homework.
With Tool Talk Radio.
There we go. Yeah, I'd say this qualifies as Tool Tale. Well, it occurred to me, looking back, we've all do home improvements to our home all the time. We're always in people's homes. Well, not everybody is, and there is something exhilarating, and there's something sort of just empowering when you look at your home and then you do something to improve it. It's pretty exciting. And I thought it'd be interesting to discuss. What was the first home improvement project you ever did to your home?
Okay.
And so obviously your first home. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was your second home. But and what does that say? And what does that indicate about your priorities? So I'll start if you want.
Go for it.
So when I first got married, we moved into this very small home, Larry. It was a 2-bedroom home. However, and when we moved in, we had. Well, I don't want to give a big backstory, but the long and short of it, my wife was pregnant because this was our second place. We actually lived in a different home that was very small first. And then this was our first home that we owned, let's put it that way. And so she's pregnant with twins, 6 or 7 months pregnant. So they start getting into that nesting impulse. I don't know if your wife did that, Larry. But,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I came home one day and, she was 6 or 7 month pregnant woman, ripped out all the carpeting in our house. She said it's full of germs. I don't know if she had watched Oprah that day and said that there's every little kind of bacteria that's going to kill your children if they crawl on it. And I come home and every bit of that carpeting is ripped out. She didn't take out the tack strips or any of the other stuff. It's like, well, I got a project for you now. And so that was my first, thrown into the fire project. I had to pull up all the tack strips. And then, of course, sand. They were hardwood floors. I'll say that. Sand the floors. And then we made one of the biggest mistakes of our entire life, which I would never repeat. And this is a public service announcement for people. We thought this was right at the time when everybody was doing these painted floors.
Yes.
You remember that, Larry? It was a very short trend.
That 6-week period.
Yeah.
They look great for about 3 days till you walk it. But we thought, well, let's paint the floors. This will be really cool. And it looked great, like I said, for about 3 weeks till life happened. And then and then to fix it, you start touching up those scrapes. Then you start top coating it. But then eventually, about 4 years later, we got tired of the whole thing and sanded it which was one of the most miserable experiences of my life, sanding that floor off. However, it did give me the bug for home improvement, and after that, we did every other month we were doing a home improvement project. So, but anyway, that was my first home improvement project, Allan. So,
why are you eyeing me suspiciously?
well, because I'd be very curious what you did as a first-time homeowner. So, or was this your first home that you owned, or what?
I'm just gonna pick with the first home that I owned, aka my home that I'm in now.
Oh, okay.
I got
You've
lucky.
been there a long time.
Been there a long time. The previous owner had a couple of prized German Shepherds.
Oh, boy.
And
Did
all they did all day long, big old furry horses, was run up and down the fence lines.
Okay.
So about 4 feet off of the fence, if you walked out there, you'd cry because it was just destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
It was a trench.
Yeah.
All the way around. Nobody understood why I was smiling.
Okay.
Because about a day later, that was trimmed with landscape timbers, and my 4 foot wide, completely surrounding the backyard garden was done.
Oh, they already trenched it up for you.
All the work was done. The grass was removed. Everything was out. All I had to do was line it, topsoil it, and plant it.
That's interesting. So your first project was a major,
Would have been to
landscaping
anybody
and
else a major landscape disaster. To me, it was like, well, 90% of the work is done. I'll just put the dirt in and start growing stuff.
So that's literally taking the lemons and making lemonade out of it. So,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Hey, Larry, do you remember your first home improvement project?
I think that the first one that we did was probably something similar to Allan. We did some flower beds and built a fence, a wooden privacy fence.
So it was an outside project.
Outside project. Yes.
Okay.
So other than painting, that would be probably the first project we did was, again, build some flower beds and put up some fence. And we had our neighbors had a privacy fence, but so we just, it wasn't a huge amount of fence, but that's probably the first one that I remember.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to analyze this information because I think it says something that you guys focused on the outside, because all of our home improvement projects for quite a while were inside. But then again, we had, young kids at the time and everything. So we're trying to make it habitable, I guess you could say in there. So, all right. Well, hey, folks, if you've got any interesting home improvement projects that you've done, you can get in touch with, you can send us a message anytime at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. You can send us a message at 3 a.m. and we'll read it on the air next week. And you can even send pictures and photo evidence of what you've done. So, Larry, real quick, because it's almost time to get out of here. People, if they want to get in touch with Brown Refrigeration, how do they do that, sir?
Well, obviously you can give us a call, 901-362-1881. Be glad to hear from you, or you can check us out on the web at brownref.com or check us out on Facebook. Love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So, there's the music, you guys. Another episode of Tool Talk Radio is in the can. In the can. It's time to get out of here, you guys. So on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and Larry Brown, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.